Good evening, scholars. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. Is that you, Jared?
Yes.
Jared, that's you? Because I think that's a picture of you, not you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My camera is kind of.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Listen, it's okay. Oh, I got to admit some more people, and we're going to get started. Okay. I have to remember, otherwise they're left out in the cold. I don't want that to happen. All right. Hello, everyone. Tonight we're going to. Hi. I hope you have your notebooks ready. We're going to go over chapter 3, and we're going to do some brief exercises just to practice some of the theory in chapter 3. In chapter 2, we talked about the two types of cost systems. One of them was process cost system, and one of them was job order cost. So tonight, this chapter focuses in on one of them, which is process cost system. So let me look through the book. I recommend you get your book out, and I'll highlight what are important so you could kind of follow along in chapter 3. So let me just get to chapter 3. Okay, chapter 3. All right. So I'm on page 94 of chapter 3. Can you all hear me pretty well?
Yes.
Oh, good. I want to make sure because otherwise I'll put my headphones on. You can hear me good. Because the headphones make me hot. It's hot out today. All right. So accounting for process manufacturers. So here's what the book says. A process manufacturer produces products that are indistinguishable from each other using a continuous production process. So if you have a glass of milk on the table next to another glass of milk, basically they're indistinguishable. Let's pretend they're in the same exact glass and not different glasses. So some examples of process manufacturers are paper producers, chemical processors, aluminum smelters, food processors, such as the soup, like Campbell's soup. Some of you emailed me because you said you had gotten the wrong number on one of the quizzes, and it had to do with the job order course. And the answer was, believe it or not, hospital, because the patients are individual and have individual needs. And the other choices were timber, I believe, and an oil refinery, and I believe it was a shampooer. Those are all process cost manufacturers. A job order cost system, which is the other one I just mentioned, records product costs for each job and gives each job a number. And it uses job cost sheet. This was your PQ3 problem. Yeah, you have a PQ that deals with job order cost sheet. All right, so process and job order cost systems are similar also. And this is the similarities on page 95.
I got a question. The RA3 is not even due until the 30th. Shouldn't it be RA2?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Jeff. Is that Harrison? Yes. Yes, that's a typo. So comparing job order and process cost systems, thank you for that. They record and summarize the product cost. That's the purpose of each system. They are both in trying to find out what does this product cost. They classify product costs. Remember, there's three, like a trinity. There's the direct materials, the pieces of the guitar. There's the direct labor, the people who touch the guitar when they're putting it together. And then there's the factory overhead, the lights in the factory, the electricity in the factory, the the foreman who directs the people, the depreciation on the factory building, the real estate taxes on the factory building. Those are the factory overhead. They also, both systems use a perpetual inventory system. Did all of you take financial accounting? Can you like give me a show of hands, or can you put yes in
No,
the chat room?
no.
Okay. Well, in financial accounting, we have two types of inventory systems. One is periodic and one is perpetual. Perpetual is that you keep track of the inventory consistently. It's perpetually, at any given time, you know what's in your inventory. Periodic waits till the end of the season or the end of the year and then goes and counts, physically counts the inventory. So those are the differences between the inventory system. And then finally, it provides useful product cost information for decision making. So the example in your book has to do with ice cream. And it talks about how the frozen delight accumulates these records, the cost of making the ice cream in the work and process accounts. And what it uses is the mixing is a process, mixing all the stuff together to make the cream or whatever they put in it, sugar. And then the packaging department. So these are the two processes in frozen delight, mixing and packaging. Okay. So let me just see. All right. Now there's a report that's very important in this chapter. There's a lot of information in the chapter, but there's always the important points in the chapter that I want to focus on. The report is called a cost of production report. I'm going to type it in the chat box. It's called the cost of production report. And this is on page 99. And what this report does is it has the units of the department, the units the department is accountable for, and the disposition of those units, like how finished are they, or how, what is left to finish on them, and the product costs incurred by the department, and the allocation of those costs between completed, transferred out, and partially completed. So does anybody know the definition of allocated? Anybody know what that word means? I'll be right back. And you can type it in the chat room. I'll be right back. Anybody have any ideas of what it is?
Like what you can put to the side for specific use.
Type it in the chat box what you think it is. It's to distribute among the products. Does anybody else? Oh, yes, that's specific. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't hear the whole definition. Specific cost amongst the products. Okay. So this is called allocate. Yes, allocation. Okay, wait. Does anybody? You're both saying the same thing. Did you see it in the chat book? Allocation. Let me see. Let's see if the chapter has this definition. Let me see. Allocation. No, they don't have a definition. All right. Well, anyway, I got the definition from Google, but okay. Put aside for specific use. Distributes good. I'm not sure about the set for specific purpose, but it's very possible. I just didn't see that. One word could have many definitions. So there's 4 steps to doing this production report. First, number 1 on page 99, you have to determine the units to be assigned cost. You have to figure out how many units are we going to assign the cost to. Then you have to compute, this is important, something called equivalent units of production. 3, determine the cost per equivalent unit. And then 4, allocate costs to units transferred out and partially completed units. So those are the 4 steps in the cost of production. Does anybody want me to type it in the box, or you'll just see it in your book? Okay. So let's stop a minute and let me pull up. Let's do brief exercise 1. Let's do an exercise just to mix it up a little bit. Okay. So let me just put a bookmark here so I don't lose my place. So on page 128 in your book, there's something called brief exercises. And there's also a show me how. Let me see if I can, I'm going to do a new share. I want to also find out if I can find the show me. Does everybody see green and white? Okay, good. But I want to look for the show me on this problem, because sometimes their show me's are really perfectly on point. So right now I'm going to do a new share. We're going to go into Cengage. So you go into Cengage. Now, are we doing our work in Cengage? No. But we use Cengage because they have a lot of good tools. But is it important to go into Cengage? Not really. I sent out the keys or whatever you need to get in there, but hopefully that was helpful to you. So I'm signing in, and which is what you would do. You would sign in with your information. And then let's see, I'm just going to put my password. Hopefully I remembered it. Got too many passwords going on, that's the problem. I should have one password and that's it, but I don't know. I'm afraid to have one password with all these hackers. Okay, so I'm going to we have the right book, and I'm going to click on the Cengage Now V2. You see this right over here? And then I'm waiting for it to load. Last time we had trouble, so let's see, maybe this time it's going to load. It's hit and miss with this program. All right, so we're going to click on Study Tools at the top. We're going to click on Adaptive Study Plans, and then we're going to go to Chapter 3. Okay, Chapter 3. And what it does is it wants you to do a quiz, but I'm going to say I'm done because I don't want to do the quiz. We don't have time. And then they're going to say, well, you got a really bad grade. You got 0. So I'm going to say, all right, I want to improve my score. Then I come to get more help. So let's see. Job order versus process. Let's see. Journalize, describe. All right, let's see. I think it's this one. Let's see. Entries for process, describe how entries units to be assigned. No, I don't think it's this one. Let me go back. Let me see if I can go back. I hope I can go back. Okay, let's see. 3. Let me just look. Harrison, can you mute your microphone because you've got some background noise going on? Okay, so let's see. Just bear with me. I'm sorry I'm taking so long. So resume studying. Let's go back here. Prepare course report. Oh, might as well look at that. That's not a bad idea. Let's take a look at that because we just talked about it. Let's talk about that. Job order versus compare lean. Okay, let's take a look at this because we just talked about it. Here's the preparation of a course production report.
The cost of production report summarizes the production and cost data in terms of units for which the department is accountable for and the product costs incurred and assignable to those units. There are 4 steps involved in preparing a cost of production report. Each of these steps will be described in this e-lecture. There are 3 cost flow assumptions that are used when preparing a cost of production report. First in, first out, or FIFO, last in, first out, or LIFO, and the average cost method. The FIFO method will be used in the examples here. Preparing a cost of production report will provide the value of the units that were transferred and the value of the units still in the work in process mixing department account. The first step is to determine the physical units to be assigned costs. In the case of Frozen Delight, a physical unit is a gallon of ice cream. Beginning inventory on July 1st was 5,000 gallons. During July, 60,000 gallons were placed into production. Therefore, there are 65,000 gallons to be accounted for by the mixing department. The 65,000 gallons to be assigned cost consists of 62,000 gallons completed and transferred to packaging in July, plus 3,000 gallons still in process at the end of July. Of the 62,000 gallons that were transferred to packaging, 5,000 were from the beginning inventory and 57,000 were started and completed in July. In this example, 3 groups of units are assigned cost. Units or gallons in beginning work in process inventory as of July 1st. Units or gallons started and completed during July, and units or gallons in ending work in process inventory on July 31st. Here is a summary of the makeup and total number of units to be assigned cost for the mixing department. By definition, work in process represents units that have been started but are not completed at the end of a period. To assign cost, equivalent units must be determined according to the percentage of completion. For example, 1,000 gallons were only 40% complete with regard to conversion costs. Therefore, the equivalent units are 400 gallons. It is necessary to compute equivalent units for materials and conversion separately because they enter the process at different phases of production. For example, materials are usually placed into production at the beginning, while many conversion costs are entered well into the production process. On July 1st, there is inventory in process of 5,000 units. All materials used by Frozen Delight are added at the beginning of the mixing process. This means that the materials used in the beginning inventory units were added during the previous period. Thus, the equivalent units for direct materials for the beginning inventory in July are 0. The 57,000 units started and completed in July are 100% complete as to materials. The 3,000 units in process at the end of July are also 100% complete as far as materials are concerned. Therefore, the total equivalent units for direct materials for July is 60,000 units. The whole units for the 3 groups determined in step 1 are the same as the materials equivalent units for these 3 groups because Frozen Delight enters the materials at the beginning of the process. Frozen Delight calculates equivalent units for conversion costs as shown here. On July 1st, inventory in process was 5,000 units. Since these units were 70% complete on July 1st, 30% of conversion costs remain to be added in July. Multiplying the total whole units of 5,000 by 30%, we get 1,500 equivalent units. The 57,000 units started and completed in July are 100% complete as to conversion costs. So 57,000 equivalent units are entered for this group. Groups 1 and 2 are totaled to determine the equivalent units transferred out of the department of 58,500. The 3,000 units in process at the end of July are 25% complete as to conversion. 3,000 times 25% equals 750 equivalent units. Total equivalent units for conversion costs are 59,250 units, calculated as the sum of the equivalent units transferred out and equivalent units remaining in ending inventory. In each of the cost groups, the equivalent units for conversion costs are determined by multiplying the whole units by the percentage of conversion costs completed during each period. The next step in preparing the cost of production report is to compute the cost per equivalent unit for direct materials and conversion costs. This is necessary in order to complete the final step in the process, which is allocating costs between the units transferred out and the partially completed units. Here is a summary of the equivalent units for direct materials and conversion costs for July, along with the costs incurred in the mixing department during July. Direct materials cost per equivalent unit is $1.10, calculated by dividing the total direct materials cost of $66,000 by the 60,000 direct materials equivalent units. Conversion cost per equivalent unit of 30 cents is calculated by dividing the total conversion cost for the period of $17,775 by the 59,250 conversion equivalent units. The fourth step in the process is to allocate the cost to the units transferred out and to the partially completed units in ending inventory. The product costs are allocated using the cost per equivalent unit for materials and conversion costs calculated in step 3. This first calculation here shows the cost to be assigned to production for the period. They are calculated by adding the beginning cost of inventory and the production costs added during July. The question marks in the table represent the cost to be assigned to each group of units in production. Here, costs are allocated to transferred and partially completed units. The conversion costs for July are calculated using the 1,500 equivalent units of production as to conversion for July determined in step 2, and multiplying by the cost per equivalent unit of 30 cents determined in step 3 to arrive at $450. This is added to the beginning inventory in process balance of $6,225 to arrive at a total cost of $6,675 for the units transferred out of the department. Next, the cost associated with the units started and completed is determined. Using the 57,000 units and the rates determined previously, we arrive at $62,700 for materials cost and $17,100 for conversion costs. That is, a total of $79,800 to be allocated to units started and completed in July. The cost of beginning inventory of $6,675 plus the $79,800 cost of units started and completed are added to determine the total cost of the units transferred out of the department in July. Finally, costs are assigned to the units in ending inventory. Using the equivalent units determined in step 2 and the rates determined in step 3, $3,300 of direct materials costs are assigned and $225 of conversion costs are assigned for a total value of ending inventory in the mixing department of $3,525. Here is a summary of the equivalent units and costs assigned to each group of units accounted for in the mixing department for July. This information will be reflected in the final section of the cost of production report. The cost of production report is prepared for each processing department at the end of each accounting period. It summarizes the manufacturing activities, the physical units processed, and the costs allocated to those units. Here is the cost of production report for the mixing department for the month of July. It shows that the department was accountable for 65,000 whole units. Of these units, 62,000 were completed and transferred out to the packaging department. The remaining 3,000 units were partially completed and part of the ending work in process on July 31st. It also shows that the mixing department was responsible for $90,000 of production costs during July. The costs assigned to the goods transferred out to the packaging department were $86,475. The remaining cost of $3,525 was the cost assigned to the ending inventory for the mixing department as of July 31st.
Okay, that's a lot of information. So we're going to do a simple version of this problem. Let me just find it. Just bear with me. So let me do a new share. So this is brief exercise 3. Okay, I'm just going to put DE3 on page. Now, if you did these reports day in and day out, you would become very proficient. But the first one you do is going to be difficult because it's a lot of steps involved. So on page 128, there's a problem called equivalent units of material cost. And it says on page 128, I hope you have your book open, that the rolling department of Oak Ridge Steel Company had 300 tons of inventory had 300 tons in the beginning work in process inventory. So let's go down here. Let me go down here because this is the problem we're going to do. And let me blow it up a little bit so you could see it. I'm going to make it bigger so you could see what's going on. Let me just blow it up a little. Okay. So the inventory at the beginning, they tell us, is 300 tons. Okay, so whole units, let's see, do I have this made up right? Somehow I feel like I don't have it made up right. Inventory and process, whole units. Oh, okay. I think I have to pull this out a little bit more. Hold on. Yeah, somehow I did this. Hang on a minute. Let me just copy. Just bear with me. Sometimes I do this in a hurry and, you know, it doesn't come out right. But this is whole units. Okay, and let's get rid of this one. Okay, and let's just move this up. So basically, I set this little schedule up. I'll highlight it so you see what we're doing. Okay, so they tell us that there's 300 tons. So I'm going to put 300 tons as the inventory at the beginning. And I'll also, in here, I'll put tons, so you know that it's not dollars. You know, the more you label things, the better off you'll have a better understanding. So that's 300 tons. Then they tell us that, let's see, the rolling department of Oak Ridge Steel had 300 tons in the beginning work in process, 25% complete on July 1st. During July, 2,200 tons were completed. Now the 2,200 tons, let me just write this down here and make it big. I'll make it big. The 2,200 tons completed include the 300 tons. Let me see, insert, I'm looking for a shape. Okay, so it includes this. So what do we have to do before we put a number in here? What do you think we have to do so that we don't double count it? What do we have to do so we don't double count it? Anybody? What do you think? Does anybody have any ideas?
You subtract the 300 from the 2,200.
Yeah, that's right. So we subtract that because it's already included in there. And that's what we put as started and completed in July. So we put 1,900 here. Okay. And I'm going to format it by clicking on the comma. Notice now it's got commas. It looks better, just aesthetically pleasing. So now what does it tell us? tells us that the ending work in process inventory was 500 tons, 40% complete. Okay, so the ending is here. So how much am I going to put over here? It says 500 tons. How much am I going to put here? Which is, I'll highlight it in another color. I'll highlight it in green. What am I going to put in the green box? It says 500 tons at the ending inventory, which is July 31. What am I going to put there?
500?
Yeah, 500, good. So here, I'm just going to total these two numbers. I'm going to total these two numbers so that it's 2,200. See, 2,200? And then ending inventory is 500. So the total units to be assigned cost, I'm going to add all this together. So what am I going to get if I add this and this? Harrison, anybody other than Carla?
2,700.
Good, good, very good, very good. Okay, so we did the whole units. We got out of that. Now notice the first number, this is not money, it's tons. There's no dollar signs involved. So now what do they tell us? What are the total equivalent units for direct materials for July if materials are added at the beginning of the process? Now let's just stop and get a definition for equivalent units. Let's get a definition of what this term equivalent units mean. It's on page 100. It's on page 100. Okay, so page 100 tells us that equivalent units of production are the portion, it's at the bottom of the page, by the way, on page 100. Equivalent units of production are the portion of whole units that are complete with respect to materials or conversion. And I put in the chat box that conversion costs equal, and I would write this down because it comes up a lot, a conversion cost equal direct labor plus factory overhead. You know, I talked to my boss the other night. I have a boss that I used to work for like, we know each other for, let's see, oh my God, 25 years now, but we still keep in touch. And I told him I was teaching cost accounting. We call it managerial, but in the old days, we called it cost accounting. He said, oh my God, don't talk about it. Now, this is a partner in a firm. He doesn't even want to talk about it. So he's an auditor, so he does auditing, but he's like, I don't want to talk about cost accounting. Even he gets nervous when we talk about it. So if you're feeling frightened, don't feel bad because you're not alone. You're not alone. All right, so now let's see what happens. I'm going slowly because I myself am not, you know, it's a difficult subject now, of course. Let's see. So what happens next? I got to get back to the problem. So they tell us that they're completed at the beginning of the process. So all the materials are added at the beginning of the process. So here, we don't need to add anything because they've already been added because they tell us they're added at the beginning. So this is going to be 0%. We don't have to add anymore. It's already complete as far as materials. So here, basically, this last column, 0 times 300. What happens when you times 0 by any number? What's the product?
You get 0.
Yeah, that's right, 0. You're absolutely right. So this is going to be 0 here. Once you get these two numbers in, this is just multiplying this times this. Then what do they tell us? So they started and completed in July 1,900 units, but they have to add the materials. So here they have to add 100% materials. So what is this number going to be?
1900.
Yeah, 1,900. Very good. Let me just format these numbers here. And then we're going to do what we did here. We're going to put a line and we're just going to add. We're just going to add. I just want to merge. I want to merge these. I'm merging these cells. So I'm adding these two numbers, 0 plus 1,900. I get 1,900. So now what happens? The inventory for July, we have to add 100%. And let's just put a percent sign here. So what is this number going to be?
500.
Yes, 500. All right. I want somebody else to answer. What is this number going to be? We're going to add this plus this. Jared, Angela, Emily, anybody? What's these two numbers added together?
2,400?
Very good. Yep, 2,400. So there's our schedule. All right, and then the last number, just so you know, you have to put a double underscore for a total. Okay. So here's our answer. This is the answer to the schedule. This is the equivalent unit right here, 2,400. That's the answer. Okay? Okay. So let's go up to BE31. Let's take a look at this one. This is something else here. This is not bad. They want you to tell me, take turns with this if you can. They want to know, is the steel manufacturing a job order or process system? What do you think steel manufacturing is? Process or job order? Is one piece of steel indistinguishable from another piece of steel? What do you think? Anybody? Angela? Jose, are you there? I can't see you. Let me see if I can do a gallery so I can see everybody. I don't know if I have. Oh, wait. Is anybody in the waiting room? Oh, my God. I gotta admit people from the waiting room.
Oops. Sorry, forgot to remind you.
Yeah, don't you worry about it. I know, forget it. I'm a mess with this memory thing. Clay, what do you think? What do you think steel manufacturing is? Process costing or job order costing?
Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
All right, let me try to.
It might be a job order.
Yeah, no, it's not job order. It's process.
It's not? Okay. Sorry.
You can't distinguish between one piece of steel and another piece of steel. It's not unique. It's indistinguishable.
Wow.
So Clay, what do you think it is?
Then it would, if it's not job order, it would be process, right?
Yeah, very good. That's a good hypothesis there. So let me make this bigger. What about business consulting? Now, when you consult to various clients, just like a hospital has various patients. What do you think, Harrison? What do you think about- All right, job order, but let me, I want to give other people a chance, but that's okay. I'm glad you're enthusiastic. So this is job order. Oh my goodness, I'm having trouble typing. All right, and what about web designer? What about you, Harrison? What do you think?
Process.
Is everybody's website the same? Is everybody's website?
Process.
Wait, hold off. Let's hear from Harrison. Harrison, is everybody's website the same? Because that would be process costing. If everybody's website's different, then it would be job order costing. What do you think? A web designer. When you hear the word designer, it means like it's unique, don't you think? So what do you think?
Okay, a web designer would be a process. They're making clothes.
No, web designer is not making clothes.
I don't know then. I
A
don't,
website. No, it's okay. It's a website. A designer makes clothes, but a web designer designs a website.
well, they would be a. It takes a lot of time to make a website.
Yeah, but you know something, it's not about time. It's about, is it indistinguishable? Is your website going to be the same as
It's gonna be
Clay's?
different. Everyone might be different.
It's going to be different. So it's going to be job order. It's specific. It's a job order. I'm not going to have the same website as you because maybe you do different things than me. What about a computer chip manufacturer? What about a computer chip, Angela?
I think that's gonna be the same. So will it be a process?
Yeah, that's right. All right, candy making. What about you, Flavia?
I'm not sure about that one. There are different candies.
Well, let's
They
just
could be-
let's pretend that the candy's all the same. They're mint. They're all the
Oh,
same
then
mint.
it will be a process if
Alright.
it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same mint. Very good.
Uh,
Designer clothes manufacturer. Okay, I'm coming back to you, Harrison, because what do you think? What do you think? Because you had a good point there. Now your answer is correct. What do you think? This is a designer. He makes, you know, what's his name? Like, there's some of them are dead now. I can't even think of one.
Designer clothes manufacturing, that for a process, it tells you for anything that requires to be custom made.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a
So what is that?
process.
No, custom made would be job order course. So what do you think the answer is?
I don't know.
Okay, it's job order course. That's okay. I just have market research calls coming in. I don't know why. So many market research. So this is job order because it's specific. It's not the same for everybody. I'm going to order a wedding dress. You might order a tuxedo. They're not the same. They are indistinguishable. All right, what about a shampoo manufacturer, Clay? Clay, what
Well,
do you,
if they're making the same shampoo, then it would be process.
yep, that's right. What about you, Flavia? Are you there?
yes, ma'am, I am.
What do you
For
think?
a hospital,
Yeah,
that's a job order.
yeah, very good, very good. Job order, excellent. So that was a good job out of everybody. Good job. Okay, so now we got one more brief exercise. The time goes by so quickly when you're having fun, doesn't it? All right, job order course. So the units to be assigned course. The units to be assigned course. Oak Ridge Steel Company has two departments, casting and rolling. So steel, as we can see up here, is a process. And the process is two things. They tell us it's, let's see, it's casting. The process they have is casting. I mean, I don't know what casting is. And rolling. Like, I don't know what these process. I never been in a steel mill. I wouldn't want to be in a steel mill because there's all kinds of dangerous things going on. Anybody remember that movie, Fame? Do you remember that? Remember that movie Fame? With
Yes.
All right, she worked in a steel mill. Remember, she had the helmet on and she was doing that thing she was doing with the heat. She was working a man's job. That was a steel manufacturer. So she was doing work in there. I love that movie. That was a good movie. All right, so now what happens next? Let's see, ingots from casting departments are rolled into steel sheets. So they make these sheets. Imagine they roll steel. That must be very dangerous. Probably get cut in a hand off. It's very dangerous profession. The rolling department received 2,400 tons from the casting department. So how many tons were started and completed? Let's see, 2,400 tons. And they completed 2,200 tons. So here's my question. How many tons were started and completed? I have it here, bolded and big. I'll put it in blue so you can see it. They tell us during July, 2,200 tons were completed. So how many tons were completed? Anybody? Any of you scholars?
2,200.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. 2,200. So you got to pay attention to the wording. It's very tricky. You got to listen to the wording. It can be very tricky. No question about it. So these are tons. Then, let's see, the ending work in process on July 31 were 500 tons, 40% complete. What are the total equivalent units for direct materials for July if materials are added at the beginning? So they remember the first sentence, they said they had 300 tons at the beginning. So what was the beginning work in process tons? I'm going to highlight that in purple. No, too dark. I'm going to highlight it in orange. It's in the first sentence, by the way. How many tons?
300.
Yeah, that's right, 300. So in this case, we have to subtract the beginning. And the answer is 1,900. 1,900. So that's your answer of units. I'm going to put the answer here. Units to be assigned course. Okay, so that's the answer. This is BE2. Okay. Let me go through the chapter a little bit more to finish up the lesson. We only have 10 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions? This is a difficult chapter, I'm not going to lie to you. But you have to read it over carefully. And I sent the homework for the entire semester. Did everybody see that? Did everybody see the homework I sent? Now the homework is not graded. I only graded, I only gave you I only graded the first homework because I wanted to see if you navigate in Canvas. Going forward, the homework is optional. I mean, it's not graded, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, because if you don't do the homework, you really won't. You got to do the theory, meaning the reading the chapter, and the homework in order to get the full benefit of this class. It's a difficult class. I'm not gonna pretend. So let me just see what else we have in here. I want to, yeah.
Which assignment is PQ2?
PQ2. Let me go back to chapter 2. Now PQ2. Let's see. I want to just see if I wrote it in my book. Usually I do. PQ2 is exercise 213. I'm gonna just type it in the chat box. Okay. TQ2 exercise 2-13 on page,
79.
yeah, that's right. Now, the only thing is, I'm kind of sorry they picked this one because this particular one doesn't have show me and doesn't have a template. But I want to explain to you that this problem, if you look at the instructions, they're asking for a journal entry. So the journal entry means a date, an account that is being affected, and a debit and a credit. That's a journal entry. That's what a journal entry consists of. And please make sure your debits equal your credits. That's very important. So they want you to make an entry of the direct and indirect materials used. So
Could
let
you
me,
repeat those parts again? Date?
okay, I'll put it in the chat box.
Thank you.
Mr. Phil,
A journal entry.
they don't really give us a date though. They just said that they began printing operations on January 1st. So is that okay if we just put A, B, C, and D?
No, you need a date with a journal entry. Just put January 1st. You got to put a date. The date is part of the journal entry. Date, description. What's a description? Does anybody know?
An explanation for the transaction?
Yeah, that's true, but it's also, yes.
Work in progress.
Well, a description is the account. The account
Oh.
you're debiting or crediting, and the debit and credit. And the explanation is what explains what you're doing. So the explanation is just regurgitating what it says. Your explanation for the first entry, meaning A, you could label the journal entry A, but then have a date, a caller. The explanation would be direct and indirect materials used. In other words, to record direct and indirect materials used. That would be your explanation. B would be to record direct and indirect labor used. And C, to record factory overhead. So you basically regurgitate the words here for the explanation. I want to see if I have it. I want to see if I have the answer. I don't think so, because I would give you a hint. I don't think I have it. I'm looking. If I have it, I'll at least give you one entry so to get you started. 216, I don't think I have it. No. So see if you can find a problem in the book and just kind of mimic that. So if it's asking for direct labor and indirect labor, then of materials used. So read the problem carefully and do the best you can on that. All right. So
Would it be work in progress?
I can't tell you off the top of my head because I don't have the, I'll be honest with you, I don't have the answer key, and I
Work process?
I don't think it's maybe work in process, direct materials, let me see. Hang on a minute. Let's see if I can find the answer. Hang on.
For which part?
Hang on a minute. Let's see if we can pull it up. Just bear with me, all right? I'm gonna try. And we have a couple of more minutes left. Let me try. Because I got all kinds of stuff on this computer. Let's see, nope, it's not in here. Let's try, let's try fall. Not in here. Let's try spring maybe. Let's try this one. Let's see, this is here. Word solutions. Solutions, okay. What exercise did we say it was? I'm sorry. Did we say it was 216 class? No, 213. I don't even think I have the solution. I see everything, but I see 216. I don't see 213. Hang on a minute. We're gonna look again. Just bear with me. You have a couple more minutes left, more that you could stay. Just give me a second. Let's try here. And this is here. I'm looking for word solutions. Solutions, maybe it's here. Okay. No, it's not here. Let's go back up. PQ solutions. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Homework solutions. Let's see. Maybe this is homework solutions. No.
It's EX213, if that helps.
Yeah, it's EX213. You're right. Let me just see. I'm looking for where I might have put it. Let's try this. Homework solutions. I'm looking for, word solutions. Okay, this might be it. This might be it. Okay, here we go. So this is chapter 2. Very good. I think this might be it. And we're looking at 2:13, right? So let's take a look. I'm just gonna let you glance at it, but then we're gonna close it. I don't think you'll memorize it in a minute. But this is, hold on, I'm going too fast, which is what I do. 2:13, where are you? I'm too far down. I'm in the problems. Let me go up. Okay, let me go. Where am I? Oh, I miss my blackboard. I mean my whiteboard. Okay, let's see. This is administrative. Let me pull this all the way up. Okay. Let me pull this up. All right, hang on. We're getting there. This is the brief. Okay, here we go. We got 2:3, 2:7, 2:11. Should be the next page. Here we go. It's 2:13, 2:12. Why don't I have 2:13? It's probably below. Probably right here. Okay. So here it is. You're right. Very good, Angela. It's work in process, materials, right? How did they get that 68,000? You're gonna have to figure that out. Factory overhead 8,000, materials 76. Notice the debits equal to credits. Work in process, direct materials. I'm gonna add. This is direct materials, and this is direct. No, excuse me. Yeah, direct labor. And then
We're
what?
still seeing the other spreadsheet.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I forgot. Okay, do you see it now? It's right here. It's gonna highlight.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so make a couple of notes.
Wow.
Let me just push this down, so at least you have to compute that. Look, although I pushed it down too much. All right. I'll give you another minute and then I'm gonna close it up, okay? So this is work in process also. So we're taking it out of materials by crediting materials and we're putting into work in process. We're putting it into work in process and we're putting it into work in process direct materials. And this is direct materials.
So you don't have to show each direct material like job 301 for 10,000.
No, Angela, you gotta
show that.
You gotta add it up, but make the journal nice. Give me something.
So if we show that on each one of them, will that be wrong or will it be okay?